Well, good evening. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the take-home edition of Fight Back Media. We appreciate you being here. I wanted to mention this. I want to talk to you about this a little bit because it didn't just occur to me, but it did just occur to me to talk to you guys about it. I was leaving work just now. It is 9:15. I'm leaving work, and where I work, there were some parents or grandparents or whatever. It's hard to tell. Who were there to pick up some of the kids who had been there rehearsing. And there was this gentleman standing in the parking lot. Now, I saw him when I walked out of the building. Now, he wasn't standing around anybody else. He wasn't in the building. He was standing out by his car. And literally, there was nobody within, I don't know, probably 50 feet of this gentleman. Literally 50 feet of this gentleman. There's nobody anywhere near him. And he was standing there in a mask. Now, I've said, and I still stick by this, if you believe that you need to wear a mask, then wear a mask. If you think it keeps you safe, then do what you think keeps you safe. I have to wonder aloud, though, and as I said, that a car just passed me with no lights on. I don't know who that person thinks they're keeping safe, but they just passed me with no lights. And it's 9:15, 17, it's dark. Anyway, people, gotta love them, can't kill them. So I'm thinking, I want to stop and ask this man why he's wearing a mask when he is obviously not around anybody else, not at all. No one's around him. No one's even when I saw him even coming anywhere near him. I walked towards him in the sense that I was at least 25 feet away and then turned and went the other direction. I want to know why he's masked up. And I'm driving down the street and I see one of those light up signs that usually tell you, detour or whatever, or accident ahead. And it's saying, be safe. Wear a mask. Is it just me? Or is it the most amazing thing that we could have witnessed as Americans in the past 10 months? How easy it was for media and government to get in cahoots to scare the bejeebus out of the American public, to completely manipulate the American public in a way that has never been done before. You have to ask yourself, are we as a society that soft? And the answer is yes. And how has this happened? I really want to investigate how we got here. Why is it so easy to manipulate the American public? What is in our brain, what is in our psyche as a people that makes us so easily manipulated as a society? Now, you're sitting there going, well, I'm not manipulated, blah, 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 blah. I'm my own person, I have my own mind, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know. But I'm not talking about you, dipstick. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about the American public. I'm talking about the American society. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about your neighbors. I'm talking about your classmates. I'm talking about your workmates. I'm talking about your family. What about our society? What do we do? What things, institutions that we hold up that allow us to be so easily manipulated? Now, I have some thoughts on this. You're not surprised. But we really need to investigate that. You know, what is it? What is it that makes the American so susceptible to this sort of manipulation by government and media? How can we, as a people who have access to more information than in any time in human history, be pushed around by fear and disinformation? You know, it's funny. When I was working in the public school system, just at the beginning of Google and other things, the assumption from teachers and educators were that our students were really well versed in the internet. Because I don't know. I do not know why we assumed that our students were well versed in the internet. Computer classes in high school were still teaching typing, which was foolish. When you think about a few years later, I'm doing a podcast in my car, talking on my cell phone. So teaching someone to type using HomeKey right now is a skill that I don't need. Teaching someone to type to be able to access the internet in an effective way, simply not a skill that's needed or necessary. But we had this thought, especially in education, that our students were more well-versed than we thought. Well, the fact of the matter was that they were not. I would ask someone to look up something in a search engine, especially when Google came out. Yes, I remember. I remember life before Google. I'm that old. I'm that many years old. I remember life before Google. So when we'd ask someone to look something up on Google before it became better, you had to be able to understand what a Boolean search was. And a lot of you don't know what a Boolean search was. Let me give you a very quick example. If I'm looking for cars, but I don't want Ford to show up in my search, I might write automobiles space minus Ford. So I don't want cars showing up. Or I might write Ford Motor Company, Ford Motor Cars minus Mustang. Or Ford Mustang plus Camaros, because I want a list of Mustangs and Camaros. I want to be able to look through that list. So there's all sorts of ways to manipulate Google using Boolean tools. And when we were trying to get kids to look stuff up on Google, it was really tough because they didn't really have any idea how to operate it. Really didn't. So we make these assumptions sometimes that simply are not true. So we are in this age that we call the age of information. Oh, looks like the fair's going to be here this year. State Fair is like, F COVID. We are here. Here are your elephant ears. Yeah, I'm sorry. Easily distracted. So we make this assumption because we have access to all this information that people will know better. And what we have found out over the past 10 months is that's not the case. When you look at the information that we've gotten from what are supposed to be reputable sources, that information does not lead to the level of fear and panic that we are experiencing. It can't. In my county, where we've got a 1.42% mortality rate from this virus, that simply can't cause the amount of panic and fear that we are seeing. And the shutdowns and the mask mandates and to do this at restaurants and where you have to wear a mask while walking into the restaurant, but once you sit down, you can take it off because now you're in a COVID bubble and COVID can't get there if you've got silverware, apparently. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, right? When you look at the and I'm not talking about if these numbers are dubious or not. If you just look at the numbers they give us from the CDC, from Johns Hopkins, from whatever, if you look at these numbers and you go, wait a minute, in my county that has 1.4 million people, we've had 70,000 cases. That's not that many, percentage-wise. Again, we have the most educated people. You have more people going to and completing college than any time in our history. We have access to all sorts of information that we could have never had access to before. And still, we can't look at 1.42% death rate and go, well, that's not that bad for what we're dealing with. We'd still rather be paranoid, and we'd still rather be feared, and we'd still rather opt for locking things down and mandates. But it doesn't make any sense. And the only defense for what I'm talking about is someone saying, well, out of an abundance of caution. I warned you guys way back last year that out of an abundance of caution, your rights and your liberties were going to start vanishing. Your ability to move about was going to start being throttled back out of an abundance of caution. I warned you about it. Those words, out of an abundance of caution. Those 6 words, pretty deadly words to the Republic. In any case, we have to start figuring out really, really fast, super fast, why we are so easily manipulated. What makes us so soft? Why are we so afraid? Are we afraid that we will lose what we have? That we're willing to compromise our liberties and freedoms? Someone very, very smart told me once that whatever you compromise to keep, you will eventually lose. So if we're going to compromise our liberties and freedoms and our abilities to move around freely for this perceived safety, we will lose our freedoms and liberties, and we will lose our safety. We're trying to keep our safety, right? And we're going to lose it too. Whatever you compromise to keep, you will eventually lose. And that's where we're at, folks. I wish it were different. But I don't believe that we're so far gone that we can't make changes. Now, some of these changes are going to be big, and some of these changes are going to have to be thunderous and happen immediately. But I don't think we're too far gone from making these changes to protect our way of life and to protect the Republic. Ride with us this year, folks. Ride with Fight Back Media this year. We're here to help. We're not like the government. We're actually here to help. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.